You know that free app you downloaded last week, the one that seemed almost too good to be true? Well, I've got some news for you. It wasn't free, not even close. Right now, as you're watching this, there's a version of you living somewhere inside a massive humming data center, a digital ghost built from ones and zeros that knows things about you that maybe even your closest friends don't. This digital twin knows when you wake up what your deepest fears are, who you find attractive, and it knows exactly how to trigger that tiny feeling of inadequacy to make you buy something you do really need. And here's the wildest part. You gave it permission. We all did, every time we clicked accept without reading the terms. We've all heard the saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. But that's not the full story anymore. It's actually gotten worse, because even when we do pay for a service, we're still the product. We're just paying for the privilege of being exploited more efficiently. Think about your streaming subscriptions that still track every single thing you watch, or that premium app that still sells your location data. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on what might be the single largest and quietest transfer of wealth in human history. It's happening right now, in real time all around us, and most people have absolutely no idea it's even going on. We're not just talking about privacy. We're talking about a fundamental shift in power and economics. We're diving deep into the true cost of our digital lives. By the end of this video, I promise you, you will never look at your phone the same way again. We'll explore how this happened, who's profiting from your personal life, and most importantly, what you can start doing about it today. This isn't just about creepy ads. It's about reclaiming a part of yourself that's been quietly taken. So, let's get into it. Let's start with a simple question. How much is your data worth? I don't mean in some abstract philosophical sense. I mean in dollars and cents. Cold, hard cash. Most of us have no idea, and that's completely by design. But here's what we do know. Last year, Google made over $237 billion. Meta, Facebook's parent company, pulled in $134 billion. And Amazon's advertising division alone, nearly $50 billion. Where did all that money come from? It came from us. Our clicks, our scrolls, our purchases, our conversations, our locations, our relationships, our deepest insecurities. But here's where it gets really interesting. That's it. That's less than you'd make working a single 8-hour shift at minimum wage. So wait, hold on. These companies are making hundreds of billions of dollars from data that's apparently only worth a few $100 per person. The math just doesn't add up. That's because we're thinking about it all wrong. Your individual data isn't particularly valuable. Sorry, you're not that special. Neither am I. What's valuable is the aggregate. Think about it like this. One drop of water is worthless, but a million drops can carve through solid rock. The data itself is just the raw material. The real cost, the invisible transaction, comes from what they do with it. Okay, so this is where things get really dark. You've probably heard the phrase attention economy, right? It sounds almost cute, innocent even. Many have PhDs in psychology, neuroscience, and behavioral economics, and they all working on one single problem: how to keep you scrolling for just one more minute. Real money. Advertisers pay more for your attention. The algorithms get better at predicting your behavior. Engagement metrics go up, and stock prices follow. So, they've turned your brain into a battleground. They've discovered that variable rewards, the same mechanism that makes slot machines so addictive, work perfectly on us when applied to social media. And inadequate people buy more stuff. Here's a stat that'll blow your mind. The average person now spends over 7 hours a day looking at screens. More time than we spend doing literally anything else except working. And what do we have to show for it? Since social media became common around 2010, rates of anxiety, depression, and loneliness have absolutely skyrocketed, especially among young people. Teen suicide rates have increased by 60%. Cases of body dysmorphia have exploded, and we're more politically polarized, more tribalistic, and more convinced that the other side is evil than at any point in modern history. The hidden cost here isn't just your data, it's your mental health, your relationships, your sense of self-worth, your ability to focus, to think deeply, to simply be present in your own life. And unlike your data, which has a dollar value, how do you even begin to calculate that cost? But wait, there's more, because we haven't even talked about the physical cost of our digital lives yet. Every single piece of digital content that exists, and these things are everywhere. Google alone operates over 30 data centers across the globe. Meta has 21. Amazon has who knows how many, and they are expanding constantly. The thing is, these data centers require an absolutely insane amount of electricity. By 2030, that number is expected to triple. Oh, and they need cooling, constant industrial-scale cooling, because all those servers generate a lot of heat, so they're repumping millions of gallons of water every single day just to keep the machines from melting down. During the water crisis in California a few years back, Google and Meta were using enough water to sustain entire towns, while residents were being told to take shorter showers and let their lawns die. These data centers were guzzling water like it was infinite. And then there's the carbon footprint. Streaming video alone generates over 300 million tons of carbon dioxide per year. That's about as much as all of Spain produces annually. Every email you send, every cloud backup you make, every Instagram story you post, it all requires energy. Real, fossil fuel, burning planet-warming energy. So when you hear tech companies talk about being carbon neutral or environmentally friendly, take it with a massive grain of salt. They're often just offsetting their emissions with creative accounting, not actually reducing their impact. Future generations will inherit a world that's hotter, drier, and more unstable, partly because we really needed to watch cat videos in 4K resolution. So the next time you unlock your phone, maybe just take a second to think about the invisible transaction you're about to make. What are you really giving up, and what are you getting in return? The cost is far greater than you can imagine. We've talked about mental health and the environment, but there's another hidden layer to our digital lives, an entire shadow economy most of us never see, never think about, and definitely don't benefit from. Let's start with data brokers. You've probably never heard of companies like Axiom or CoreLogic, but they've definitely heard of you. Their entire business model is to collect information about you from hundreds, even thousands, of different sources. Everything from your shopping habits and medical records to your exact GPS location, minute by minute. Then they sell that information to anyone willing to pay. And I mean anyone: insurance companies, advertisers, political campaigns, even stalkers or foreign governments. Here's how crazy it gets. One data broker was found selling the real-time location data of people who visited abortion clinics and addiction treatment centers. Another sold lists of people with specific medical conditions, like Alzheimer's or depression, to predatory marketers. And the scariest part, in many places, like the United States, this is all completely legal. There are almost no regulations on what data brokers can collect or who they can sell it to, but it gets worse. Ever heard of surveillance capitalism? It's a term from Harvard professor Shoshana Zuboff. It describes an economic model where our own human experience is treated as free raw material. This behavioral data is then used to predict and influence our actions. In other words, companies aren't just passively collecting data about what you already do. They're using that data to actively change what you do in the future. They nudge you towards certain decisions, making you think thoughts that benefit them, not you. This is already happening. Remember Cambridge Analytica? They used Facebook data to build psychological profiles of millions of voters, then targeted them with personalized political ads to manipulate their behavior. It worked scarily well, and that was just one company, using technology from over 7 years ago. Imagine what's possible now. Imagine what's coming in the next 5 or 10 years. The hidden cost here is our autonomy, our free will, the fundamental belief that your thoughts and choices are your own, because increasingly, they're not. Now you might be thinking, okay, this is messed up. I'll just delete the apps and go off the grid. And theoretically you could. But here's the trap. We can't really stop. Not anymore. Our entire society has reorganized itself around these platforms. Want to stay in touch with family? You need Facebook. Want to network for your career? LinkedIn. Want to date? You need Tinder or Bumble. Want to communicate with your kids' school? You need their app. It's not optional anymore. It's infrastructure. And that's by design. These companies have made themselves so indispensable that opting out feels like opting out of society itself. It's like saying, just stop using roads or just stop using electricity. Sure, you could, but good luck functioning in the modern world. Then there's the social pressure. If you're not on social media, you're seen as weird at life. You're missing out. That fear of missing out, or FOMO, is a real psychological phenomenon, and these platforms have turned it into a business model. Here's the really insidious part. Even when we know all this, even when we understand how these systems manipulate us, we keep using them, because they've hacked our brains. They've figured out that humans are terrible at weighing long-term costs against short-term rewards. We know that scrolling for 3 hours is bad for us, but that next video might be really good. It's only 30 seconds, and what's the harm? And suddenly, it's been 3 hours. We're not weak or stupid, we're just human. And these platforms have been specifically engineered to exploit our very human vulnerabilities. The hidden cost here is choice itself. It's the illusion that we're in control, making informed decisions about our time and attention. But the truth is, we're not deciding. We're being decided for. So, what do we do? Because here's the thing. I am not going to tell you to delete all your apps and move to a cabin in the woods. That's not realistic. And honestly, it's not even the point. The point is awareness. When you understand the true cost of your digital life, not just the free subscription, but the data mining, the attention extraction, the environmental impact, the psychological manipulation, the erosion of privacy and autonomy, when you understand all of that, then you can start making different choices. Maybe that means using these platforms more intentionally, setting actual boundaries, turning off notifications, scheduling specific times for social media instead of scrolling whenever you're bored. Maybe it means supporting regulations that would force tech companies to be transparent about what data they collect and give us real control over how it is used. Maybe it means choosing smaller, ethical alternatives when they exist, using Signal instead of WhatsApp, using DuckDuckGo instead of Google, supporting platforms that don't run on surveillance capitalism. But more than anything, it means rejecting the lie that any of this is free. Nothing is free. Everything has a cost. The question is, are you willing to pay it? Because right now we're paying with our mental health, our privacy, our planet, our democracy, and our humanity. And we're paying those costs invisibly, silently, in ways we don't even recognize until it's too late. The good news is, it's not too late. We can still change course. We can still demand better. We can still build a digital future that serves human flourishing instead of corporate profit. But first, we have to see the problem. We have to understand what's really happening. And we have to stop pretending that the most powerful, sophisticated, well-funded behavior modification machine in human history is somehow just a tool. It's not just a tool. It's a trap. An incredibly effective, brilliantly designed, almost impossible to escape trap. And the first step to escaping a trap is realizing you're in one. So the next time you open that app, the one that seems free, the one that's just for fun, the one that promises to connect you and inform you and entertain you, remember what it's really doing. Remember the hidden cost, and ask yourself, is it worth it? Thanks for watching. If this video made you think, or made you uncomfortable, or even made you angry, good. That means you're paying attention. Hit that subscribe button if you want more content that makes you think, and drop a comment below. What's the hidden cost you think is the most dangerous? I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts. See you in the next one.